David. James Janowitz, your Porsche guy here at Porsche Nashua. We're going to dive into your vehicle and do our best at a long distance video orientation. It might be a little long, so grab yourself an ice cold beer or a beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive on in. Alright, before we jump in the car, I want to show you just a couple quick things on the exterior of the vehicle. First and foremost is entry to the car. We do have entry and drive, which is your advanced key system. And the reason I mention this is most often customers are just going to grab the door handle like this and not always get the desired result. So what you want to do is to unlock the vehicle, you're going to touch the inside of the door handle. To lock it, you're going to touch the outside right where that little dimple is there, and you'll have that on each of the 4 doors. Now to access the fuel door here, you're going to need to push this button on the driver's door. You hear a little ding, and then that'll open up on the passenger side where you can put your 93 octane fuel in. Make sure you just shut that firmly. Once that door is closed, or if it's already closed, you can access the charge port. You cannot access both at the same time. Just push that, that'll pop open. There is no button for this. And make sure when you plug it in that you do clip it firmly. You'll hear a click, and you're looking for a green flashing status light to show that it's actively charging. And just push that firmly, and then that's shut. Now I do want to show you under the hood quickly. Not a whole lot to look at under there. What a beautiful motor. All kind of covered up, but it's certainly very pretty. Now there's only a couple things you're going to have access to. This here is coolant. That is your washer fluid. And over here you've got your brake reservoir and then your oil filler. Coming to the back of the car, you got your release button right there. And we can see we have some goodies back here. I just want to explain these briefly. So in this big honkin' box, what you have there is your cabinet, which will house your charging device. And that charging device you're going to find in this bag, along with a 110 cable and a 220 cable at your option. 220 is of course going to charge the vehicle a little bit quicker. You also have an owner's manual in there. That handy little case is easy if you're traveling and you want to be able to charge on the go. Plug that in anywhere you like. Otherwise, you can house that charger in that cabinet when you're back home, and you can permanently mount that cabinet in your garage or wherever it's convenient to access. And it's a pretty long cable. I want to say it's 25 feet. Here in this little bag, you just have your front plate holder if you choose to mount a front plate. If you don't need one, I don't advise you do, just so you can keep that nice look. That basically covers all that. And then I do want to let you know that this hatch here is height adjustable. So you've got 2 buttons here. You've got this button which will close the vehicle and then lock it simultaneously. This one will just close it. Now if you want to reset the height, if you have someone that's height challenged or if you have a lower clearance situation, just close that to the desired height, stop it, and then push and hold that for a few seconds. It'll beep at you, the lights will flash, and then that height will be saved. So the next time you open it, it'll stop at that point. To reset it, just push the hatch manually to wherever you want to set it. Push and hold the button again, and it's going to be saved. So very, very easy system. That covers all that. All right, now let's get started here. But I guess before I do, full disclosure, never done this before. I've never actually done a video orientation for a new vehicle before. Really, the only way that I could make this work was to mount the camera on the driver's side window here using a fancy little suction cup mount that I went out and got. Otherwise, just autofocus goes crazy and it's shaky and very difficult to see. So the one downside with using this method is this camera is mounted about, I don't know, 3 inches from my mouth. So my voice is not for radio. I am not known for an overly pleasant voice. I hope that I'm not overly obnoxious to listen to and you can suffer through this all right. Most importantly, I'm hoping that you can see the screen and have fairly decent clarity, so that this is actually even worth your while. But let's just dive in and see if it works. If not, if you need me to revisit anything, I'm always at your service. Call me, text me, let me know what I can do for you, and we'll revisit anything you need. But I just kind of want to go over the gist of this. I'm not going to touch on every little single detail, but I want you just to kind of get a fast start with what's going on over here. So first I'm going to turn on the car, left ignition over here. And if I put my foot on the brake, that actually start the vehicle. I'm just putting us in the accessory mode, so I did not put my foot on the brake. Now, I don't know if you can see over here, but you've got your headlight controls, auto, parking, front fogs, rear fogs, super straightforward. I'm not going to waste my breath on that. So steering wheel, a little bit different than most Porsches, a little different multifunction layout in that you've got a lot more going on in your gauge cluster, thus your controls are just set up a little bit differently. So we'll go over that. Now on the left hand side, you've got this little knob which will scroll through the various readouts here in this gauge cluster. Now that's going to show you your speed, obviously. It's also going to show you your cruise control mode and your speed limits, hybrid assistant, your navigation, your current position, and your route guidance would all be over there on that left hand side. The speed limits here, if I actually push enter on this, it'll show you limit 1 and limit 2. Now these are limits that you set, so if you're known to have a lead foot, this might be a wise idea. A car like this is going to bring out the lead foot on everybody, but if you want to just kind of mind your manners, I can go ahead and push enter. I can go to either current speed limit, or I can set a manual speed limit to, say, you know, I don't know, whatever is good, whatever makes sense. I'll just do 55 here. That's an insanely low speed limit, but you'll see the little active box checked. So anytime you exceed 55 miles an hour, car's going to yell at you, going to keep you mindful of your speed. You can also set 2 different limits here. Now I can hit uncheck, it'll make that inactive, or I can go ahead and I can reset your speed limit. Now you've got your little back button here to go to the previous menu. When in doubt, hit back. I tell everybody that. That's going to be over here on the PCM or here in your gauge cluster, and you'll see that you have 2 different back buttons. One for left, one for right hand side. Getting back to what we were talking about. So I'm going to hit back again, and we're in here on our main screen, and I can scroll through, and here's your navigation showing our current position. We are off-road, we are within the shop. There is no route guidance displayed. Scroll down again. Here's your hybrid assistant, where this is going to show you your economy. You're going to get a little gauge, how many miles you can drive on electric only. The next one down is going to show you your trip and your odometer. And this one here is going to show you your adaptive cruise readout. So this is going to be whatever distance you set between you and the guy in front of you. Now, if I push enter here, it's going to allow me to select between PID and ACC. ACC is your adaptive cruise control, and PID is Porsche InnoDrive. Now what Porsche InnoDrive is an extremely advanced version of cruise control where it's actually going to pick up your terrain, your surroundings, and intuitively adjust your speed and gear selection so that you get the best possible economy and the most comfortable ride. Adaptive cruise control is of course just going to adapt to whomever is in front of you. So if you're driving on the fast lane, you're moving right along, some idiot in a Prius comes out in front of you. I use this analogy all the time. Now all of a sudden you have to be, slowed down. You can't be bothered with, hitting your brake and re-engaging cruise control. That it's going to slow down to the 50 miles an hour that the Prius is doing. Prius gets out of the way, gets you back to 90. Very, very easy to get along with. Now too, you'll see this little selector down here. This is actually for your cruise control. To set cruise is just out here on the left side, and you'll see ACC off, or here now it's active. And this little bar that I'm adjusting up and down is the distance. It is a vague quantity. They're not going to tell you 5, 10, 20, 30 feet, but that's going to adjust your distance basically in car lengths more or less, or in time it takes to react to somebody stopping short in front of you. So you can adjust that on the go here with just that little dial here. Resume is up, cancel is down, increase your speed, decrease your speed is back. So super, super easy cruise control, but the only difference here between this and others is just the adaptive portion, which is going to set your distance. So that really covers all that. Now you can't quite see it, but to the left of this, it's going to show you your current speed limit and outside temperature display in that leftmost console. There's also going to be a couple little icons which will show you if your blind spot monitoring is active, if your night vision is active, whether or not your seat belt is on, your headlights and so on. You're going to have some dummy lights over there. I don't need to cover all that stuff. Now here in the center, obviously you have your RPM gauge. Don't worry about that check engine light. That's just because the car is on accessory mode right now. It's going to show us our mode. So right now we're in e-power mode, which is an electric only mode. You're going to see your shift position. If I were to shift this over to the left, you'd see the manual position would show me my current gear selection. All that stuff is super straightforward. Now you can see here we've got this little dial. This is going to change the modes from hybrid to Sport Plus, and in e-power. E-power again is going to be electric only. Hybrid is going to be a combination of the two. Normal driving. Sport is going to be for athletic driving, make the vehicle much more responsive. Sport Plus is going to be that to the extreme. Now here in the center, you've got your boost button. That's going to give you 20 seconds of maximum performance. Every ounce of performance this car can muster. Kind of like a push-to-pass button is what that's all about. A very fun button. Now, while we're talking about Sport Plus, might as well talk to you about launch control. If you're going to do launch control, you are committed for at least couple hundred feet. So make sure you've got a good amount of space before you do it. You're going to want to make sure you're in Sport Plus, and then with your left foot, you're going to firmly depress on the brake, and with your right foot, you're going to firmly press on the gas. You're going to see it blip out at about 3,500, 4 grand. It's going to go bap, 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 bap. You'll see launch control activated here in the MID. And then the goal is going to be to release that left foot on the brake as quickly as possible to have the smoothest launch and keep that right foot down on the floor, and you're gone like a rocket ship. The smoother the launch, obviously the faster the launch, so you really want to get that left foot off the brake as quickly as possible. Keep that right foot down and hold on. Great for terrorizing passengers. It's a whole lot of fun. That's how this car gets to 60 in about 3.2 seconds, is utilizing launch control. Don't worry about hurting the car. You're not going to hurt the car. It's built for it. Is it something you want to do every day? Probably not, but you're not going to hurt it. So that's what launch control is all about. Now over here on the right hand side, you've got this little diamond button, which is actually a button that you can select any number of functions. It's like a shortcut button, whatever you want to set it for. You've got your pick up the phone button, you've got your hang up the phone button, or what I like to call the FU button, to ignore an incoming call, and then you've got yet another dial that's going to cruise through all of your different readouts here. So first readout is you've got your map. I can push enter on this map and I can change the layers. And the next one, you've got your night view assistant. You've got your sport chrono. This is going to be a lap timer, and I can push enter here and I can start the timer, stop, etc. Really straightforward. Next one is going to be your G-force meter. This one's kind of cool. Your boost assistant, which is going to show you basically just the status of your boost. Your e-consumption, showing you your drive, how many miles you're going on there. It's going to just give you a little bit of intuitive readouts to get the most out of your car. Next one down is showing your energy flow, if you're in hybrid mode, if you're in electric only mode, if you're in gas mode. Drive distribution, this is showing you your active torque split front to rear. Tire pressure. It is going to measure it at 15 miles an hour, so you may not see anything here right now, but as you continue on your speed, it'll let you know what your tire pressure is for each individual. And then this is your vehicle. So vehicle is going to change the information that's displayed here based on your needs. So if I go to view here, maybe I want to see various temperature outputs. Maybe I want to see your navigation, your ETA, distance, your elevation, and so on. You've got your information screen, which will show you your time, your date, your outside temperature, and your cell phone strength. Or you can customize this to your liking, and you can go ahead and tweak that. Pretty easy. You also have your oil level over here, your inspections, which is going to be all your service information, and various notifications, so you have no messages here. So that's really all that in a nutshell. Your paddle shifters, you can use these at any time to override the transmission. If you're in automatic mode, eventually the car will take over again. If you put it over in manual mode, it will only shift when you tell it to, and you pull that shifter over to the left-hand side to enter manual mode. That really covers all of that. Oh, one last thing, world's sneakiest button. Your heated steering wheel is right here within your center spoke. So just push that button. You'll see a little light come on that says heated steering wheel on, and your heated steering wheel is good to go. Same thing to turn it off. That covers all that. Here we're looking at your PCM, this enormous 12-inch digital display. This looks like the most intimidating thing that any of us have ever seen. It's really not. It's just big. That's it. It's just big and it's advanced and there's a lot going on, but the way that Porsche settled this up is actually pretty slick. So what I want to do is I want to dive through kind of all the main functions with you. I am not going to go through each and every little thing because we'd be here for like 4 hours, and I don't even think that YouTube will allow me to upload a file that large. So I'm going to do the abbreviated version and try not to be long-winded, although that does take some effort on my part because I may be known for my long-windedness. But let's dive in here, and first thing that's kind of cool about this is it's going to, as a default, minimize all the different functions just so you can see the screen in all of its glory, especially here that we're in map mode, so you have a really good visibility of the map and your surroundings. Now, as I take my hand and I approach it, you can see I've got all these menus up, so it's actually got a little camera that knows my hand is approaching it, so that's kind of cool. So on the left-hand side, you're going to have a home button. And this home place is really just an opportunity for you to create some shortcuts, and this is fully customizable. So you can absolutely make this your own, and however you want to set up your home screen, you can go ahead and do that. And then over here on the left-hand side, you'll have the rest of the main menus, and then under those, you'll have sub-menus. And those are very easy to get through. So you get the idea of how all this works. Now up here on the top, you can also touch these things. So here you've got your search, online search. If you check that box, it's going to do a Google search as opposed to using Porsche's database. Here you'll have your option menu. And mind you, you always have a shortcut down here below your gauge. It says option. That's going to be the same function as this little touch button. So same thing. Now this option or this option, same thing, that's always going to be pertinent to whatever function is displayed. So if you want to, adjust your sound level or whatever, and you're in your audio screen, go ahead and hit option, and then that's gonna bring up those options again that are pertinent to sound. Or if you're in your nav, pull up option, it's going to bring up all of your options for that route. Or if you're in your phone and you want to pull up options, it's going to bring up your phone options. You get the idea. Now this little thing to the right that kind of looks like a Wendy's cheeseburger, these 3 little squares, those are going to be your different layers that are available for you. So you can go ahead and activate your online traffic, your Google Earth. Compass is very intrusive. I don't recommend that, but to each their own. You get a big honking compass over here on the right. You really don't need it. E-range, so how many miles you can go on empty. That's kind of slick, as well as weather. So you can go ahead and customize all this. Google Earth is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to load that right now. Hopefully we get enough signal in here inside where it'll actually load it. 3D map is going to angle the map down a little bit so you actually get a horizon. It's a lot easier to look at, a lot easier to see, but that's up to you. Just like with the steering wheel, hit back to eliminate that. So here's your Google Earth. This is pretty cool. Give it a second to load. This way you're getting real satellite imagery. I'm sure you've used Google Earth on your desktop or perhaps something else. It's just so far superior to what you get in those computer-generated nav systems. You actually get to see real landmarks, real surroundings, colors of things, etc. It's just infinitely better. So now your zoom, you can do this one of 2 ways. You've got a little dial here, and I can go ahead and dial in your zoom, or you can, pinch and expand here on the screen itself. You can also just kind of free roam, and if you want to recenter yourself, just hit the back button and it's going to bring you back to where you are. You'll see your scale over here on the right. I can see that we're in Google Maps. Now this little arrow, if you can pick that up, this little arrow is actually just going to bring up your widget box. This is going to give you, quick destinations, center events, and you can actually customize this too. This will be present in every single screen, and I'll show you where that is in just a second. But to minimize that, just hit that little thing. Now, continuing on our theme on this top side, this here is going to pull up your device manager where it says LTE and your cell phone. So if you had a cell phone paired, it's going to show you your signal strength of your phone. And LTE is for the signal within the vehicle for its embedded SIM card where we're getting all this data from. This is complimentary for a year, where you're getting your Google Earth, you're getting your Google Search, you're getting your weather, news, flights, Wi-Fi hotspot, all that good stuff. That comes free for a year, so that's part of all this. And then again, you can just hit that to bring up your device manager, and then here are all your devices. So it's showing that everything is active. And then over here, to set your clock, temperature, time settings, etc. Really, really easy. Again, hit back to go previous. Now I'm going to go back to nav, and you can see over here in the subfunctions we have our map, we have our destinations, we have our traffic, and you have your favorites. Super easy to get along with. Portal POIs. These are points of interest that you've saved in your My Porsche account. Contacts would be if you had addresses saved in your contact list, and then you have your stored destinations, homework, or what have you. So you can touch any of these things, customize them as needed. Traffic is going to be part of your Porsche Connect system as well, so it's going to let you know the traffic relative to your areas. Your navigation will adapt to your surrounding traffic as automatic. Now when setting a destination, you can do online search, destination input, point of interest here. Now let's say we just want to go just do a search. A couple different ways to enter it. You can just type it in here. You do have your voice recognition, which is the left button on your turn signal indicator. If you just push that, then you can use your voice, and you can say things like, find nearest, or take me to, or enter address. It is very logical, very easy to get along with. But if you don't like any of that, you can also handwrite. My penmanship kind of sucks, but the car's pretty good at understanding it. So pretty easy. Also, you can do a right slash to do a space, or a left slash to delete. You also have a delete button down here and a space button down here, and then we can go back to your keyboard here. Pretty easy to get along with. So, getting back to this is all pretty straightforward. Your recent destinations, I don't really need to go through all this with you. You get the idea. Under media, this is going to be your AM, FM, XM, and so on, as well as your other media sources. So up top here, you can see you've got your different media sources, FM, AM, XM. As I mentioned before, all of your sound settings are unique to each and every source. So what sounds good on XM radio may not sound good on media input, may not sound good on Bluetooth. All these are customizable. I highly encourage you go ahead and set your memory settings so that all that is saved. You also have a jukebox, so you can actually rip music, load it onto the jukebox. Pretty easy. Now, if we go over to favorites, this is going to be all of your presets. Whatever you're on, you can push and hold to store here. You can also go to list, so it'll show you all of your available stations. And tune, I can go ahead and just kind of scroll around like this. I can also do a direct tune if you know your station. Super easy. And then if I want to save this as a favorite, boom, just hit the star and it's saved as favorite. And you can also remove it the same way. Forward, back, really, really easy to get along with. Now here, you've got your same option menu. These are options pertinent just to this function, such as sound settings. Now, speaking of sound, you have a Burmester sound system, one of the most ridiculous sound systems I have ever heard. This will have some unique functions exclusive to Burmester, and if you go down here, you'll have, your 3D surround, listening position, sound conditioner, sound enhancer, make them smooth, make it live. These are all of your different presets for Burmester specifically. Obviously here you've got your volume. These will be volumes for different things, not necessarily relative to that function. You've got your tone, bass, treble, and then your balance. So just play with that, find out what sounds good to you. That's all pretty easy to get along with. Let's see here. Now let's go back to media. I think we kind of covered all that, covered the different options here. Let's go to the next. So your phone. You're going to just search for a new phone. You want to make sure you're Bluetooth discoverable on your Apple phone or your Android if you use Android. I'm just going to simply blow up your Bluetooth settings and it should just say discoverable. Make sure that you pay attention to all of the permissions-based prompts so that you do get proper connectivity. This is very, very, very easy to get along with. And again, you'll have options set just for the phone, your various phone settings and so on. Really, really easy. Here you'll have your favorites, your keypad, calls, contacts, and text messages. Here under your car, this main screen, I think this is kind of the body that you wanted to cover. You've got your various modes, so e-Power, Hybrid, Sport, Sport Plus. Those you all have on your steering wheel as a shortcut, but then you've also got this individual setting where you can go ahead and tweak it a little bit to your liking. So maybe you want a different chassis height, a different chassis feel, different exhaust note, but you don't want all that power. You can go ahead and set it here. Under control, you got your ambient lighting setting. You've got your massage functions for the passenger, massage functions for the driver, vehicle settings, display settings, system settings, and a manual. This too is very, very handy. As far as your massage settings, just go to Program, hit what you want to select. I'm a big fan of the Shiatsu. The Shiatsu feels absolutely amazing. This is a 680 horsepower Brookstone chair. And then you can just go back and you can also change its strength here. Super, super cool. Rear shade, that's going to be controlled from this position. You've got all of your vehicle settings here. You can also find that over here. This is just an easy shortcut. All of your different displays. I'm not going to go through all these and put you to sleep. All of your system settings can be found here also. And you'll find that Germans are all about redundancy, so you can also access those things here or down on the left-hand side when we get there. The manual, like I said, is very, very cool. This is going to be all the good to know stuff. So this is not incredibly concise, but it's going to go over the gist of most everything. You've got an index, you've got your contents, etc., etc. I'm also not going to go through all this in great detail, but this is where you find it. So if you're kind of stuck and you don't want to call me or you don't want to look through the owner's manual, this is a really easy way to find it. You've got your trip information and your sport chrono. So this is for your lap timer, and you'll see your clock react to it up there. Pretty slick, pretty straightforward as well. Now, climate is going to be all of your settings based on just your climate needs. So your air distribution, left and right, your ventilation, whether it be off or on, air conditioning to sync passenger and driver side. You do have your center vent controls, and you can go ahead and control where those are going, whether it's off or on, focused or diffused. Really, really easy. Here you've got all your different comfort settings, so the style, the footwell, the ionizer, you name it. So if you want your footwell a little bit warmer than with me, I've got really poor circulation on my feet, so that way I can set it a little bit hotter, have a cooler air coming through the main vents here. You can completely customize this. Ionizer is going to condition the air, take out any sort of outside smells. If you have a garbage truck you're in front of, or if you're in a tunnel or something like that, that's pretty cool. You can also set a timer, so you can actually set departure timers. If at a certain time you want the car to preset the temperature inside the vehicle before you get in. I know it does get very, very warm out there, especially in a couple months. I know when I visited Orange County, we saw 108, 109 degree days. You can go ahead and set this so it's already comfortable for you. And here you've got your rear temperature selections as well. Granted, they've got their own screen and they can do their own thing back there, but if you want to set it for them, this is how you do it. So that covers all that. Apps. So this is all Porsche Connect specific. You've got your local parking information, fuel prices, e-charging stations, event info, weather, flights, Twitter, news, cool stuff. And here you've got your options relative just to Porsche Connect. So your Porsche ID, this is already loaded in here. That's already all set. You don't need to do anything with that. That's saved to the car. But if you wanted to change your ID, if you want to link a new one, this is how you would do it. Assist. So assist is going to be all of your assist systems for safety and awareness and so on. So it's important to have your own section here just because the car has so much going on. Surround assist is going to give you the information obviously surrounding the vehicle. If you have anybody near you, it's going to let you know about that. Traffic jam assist. This helps you with low speed driving. Works in conjunction with your adaptive cruise control and radar system to keep a safe distance. Park assist. You can see here we've got quite a few different cameras. I am indoors as a technician out there up front. But you got this cool surround view, which is actually going to create a composite image using 4 cameras. And then you've got your front camera, you got your rear camera, you got your side camera, panorama front, that's kind of like a corner view, and your panorama rear. So very, very cool stuff. And just hit the X to get out. Night view assist, whether you want it off or on. Porsche Active Safe. Active Safe is going to be accident mitigation, so that's going to actually apply the brakes to avoid a situation in the first place. Lane keep assist is going to keep you in your lane, so if you deviate out of your lane, you're actually going to get a buzzing sound, and you will get some gentle coercion on the steering wheel itself to keep you in. If you indicate you're going to turn, obviously you're not going to get that buzzing sound or the gentle nudge on the steering wheel. Lane change assist is going to be your blind spot monitoring system. So you're going to see a little black box on the inside of each of your mirrors that'll glow amber if you have somebody in your blind spot. And then you can also go here and you can go to your assistance system settings, park assist, active safe, all those things. You can change the brightness, the sensitivity, so on and so forth. So I definitely encourage you to spend some time tweaking these settings. I am not going to go through all of them today. It's just crazy. Going down next, we've got our hybrid settings. Car went to sleep on me. Apologies about that. So your various modes, you can control that here. Now in hybrid, you've got hybrid auto, e-hold, e-charge. I mentioned this briefly on the phone with you. Hybrid auto is just going to do everything it wants to automatically, obviously. E-hold is going to keep it in electric mode. E-charge is going to do everything it can to charge that battery as quickly and as efficiently as possible, so you can make use of it for other things. Show you your e-range, total consumption, etc. You also get your flow meter here, statistics, and your timer. So this will be for your charge timer. So you can actually set your timer to charge based on certain times. Sound, we already kind of covered this. We found another shortcut. And then you've got all of your various vehicle settings. So that basically covers the gist of all this. I hope you understand that it's really not as complicated as it looks. There's just a lot of different settings, a lot of different systems, and a lot of customization that's available to you. It's really not as busy as it looks. And once you get the hang of it, it will probably take a week or two. It'll be very intuitive, and you'll get along with it pretty easily. You also have these main function buttons here, which are shortcuts. And you get that nice feedback even though there isn't really a proper button. So, one last thing I want to show you on this is your home screen, how to customize this. So as I mentioned when we first started, these are your shortcuts to the things you use most commonly as an easier way to get around rather than use these this menu on the left hand side. So if I go to the option menu here, I can go to configure home. It's going to bring me to this configure screen where you've got these various layouts. And like, let's say I want to use layout 1, and I don't care so much about a media shortcut. I can push and hold this, I can drag this tile up to delete it, and maybe I care more about my sound settings. I can grab this, drag this over, put that there, and now I've got my bass and treble at a glance. I can go ahead and confirm, and now that's saved, and that's there in place of it. So I did mention also a little while back that no matter what screen you're on, you've got this little shortcut button over here. So that's actually just a little widget, and if I go to your home screen, I can go to your options and I can configure that info widget, and I can change that too. So that's kind of cool because no matter what screen you're in, you can always pop that over, and you can customize this in the same way that you customize your home screen. So again, you just kind of push and hold, drag up to delete, maybe I bring over your apps instead. Boom. Straightforward. Hit confirm, and we're saved. Life is good. One last thing I did want to go over now that I actually just saw one of those widgets is if I go to drive, we had talked briefly about your chassis height and the chassis suspension. These things are independent from the power mode, so it's just a matter of selecting what we want our height to be. I can hit back here, and then your chassis, this is going to be the stiffness. That's kind of the only downside, is if you do choose a low chassis height, it is going to default to a Sport Plus chassis stiffness. You can't have a low height and a cushy chassis, or a normal chassis. Just can't do that. But that covers all that. Really, really super easy. While I'm here, I'm thinking of one last thing that comes up frequently with customers is if you deploy your spoiler manually, this will deploy automatically at speed and retract automatically at speed, but if you want to retract it, if I just push it, you're going to see it not go down. It's going to actually be there. So you actually need to push and hold this, and then it'll retract. Now it's gone. Whereas if you just tap it, it's going to de-illuminate that little button there, but your spoiler is still going to be out. So just want to cover on that. I think that's really kind of the gist of it. As I mentioned before, anything I missed, let me know. I think this already got a little bit on the lengthy side, but just reach out to me if I can help you in any way, if we want to go over any of this in greater detail. David, are you still awake? I hope I didn't put you to sleep there. I know that was probably way too long and painful, and I'm certainly not all that entertaining, but I want to make sure you at least had the gist of it. Not incredibly detailed, but it was already on the long side, so I didn't want to get, too detailed. Really, the best way to get a feel for this system is going to be just to get in it, play with it. If you need me to dive in greater detail on anything specific, if you have any questions, you need anything at all, I cannot stress this enough. I am always here for you and always at your service. It does not end here at the sale. Anything I can ever do for you, I'm always on call. Text me, call my cell, Facebook me, whatever I can do for you, I'm here for you. So I just want to once again thank you so very much for your valued business and your trust during this long distance transaction. I greatly appreciate it. Anything I can do to improve upon your experience or help you in any way, again, I'm here for you. So congratulations on your new vehicle. There is one thing I know for sure, though I may put you to sleep, that incredible 680 horsepower machine certainly won't. You're going to own the roads out there in California. I can't wait to hear about how much you enjoy your vehicle and your first few days with it. We'll touch base as soon as that vehicle lands, and we'll talk soon. So again, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.